will stop you dead in your tracks.
It really didn't look real. The cliffs, they looked like they were painted.
You never get enough of it.
The sheer force of nature can be devastating.
Anything in the path of this lava will be completely destroyed.
For some, these wondrous places provide the ultimate rush. For others, the ultimate challenge.
There have been somewhere around 150 or 60 deaths on the mountain.
But to everyone who sees them, they are the most amazing creations Mother Nature has to offer. Join us as we journey to the ultimate 10 natural wonders. Nothing can compare to the breathtaking beauty of Mother Nature. Her scale is spectacular. Her majesty unmatched. The sheer force of nature provides an awesome display of power and an ever-evolving landscape of unparalleled splendor. We begin our countdown of the ultimate 10 natural wonders with one of nature's most powerful creations.
I almost cried shooting it because it was just so beautiful.
Hawaii, land of sun, fun, big surf, and teeny bikinis. But these magical islands literally rose up out of the vast blue ocean with the help of big, bad, explosive volcanoes.
The process that we're seeing here is really the process of land building that started 4.5 billion years ago on our planet. This is primitive molten rock coming up from the Earth's interior.
Primitive but powerful, and the most temperamental of all volcanoes is called Kilauea. Volcanologist Kin Han has studied this volatile volcano since it began erupting in 1983, and he sees no end in sight to its fiery expansion.
Kilauea is unique among the world's volcanoes in that it's not only one of the most active volcanoes in the world, but it puts out probably the highest volume per year of lava of any volcano on the planet.
On average, over 1,000 gallons of lava come streaming, gushing, or oozing out of Kilauea every second of every day of the year. Kilauea rises just over 4,000 feet above sea level. That's taller than 4 Eiffel Towers stacked on top of each other. But there's a lot more depth to Kilauea than meets the eye.
The impressive thing about Kilauea is what we don't see of it, and there's about another 18,000 feet of this volcano that go down below sea level to the ocean floor. So it's really among one of the largest volcanoes in the world as well.
It's also one of the most powerful. With temperatures hot enough to melt rock at over 1,500 degrees, Kilauea has the power to do some pretty serious damage.
It's very, very destructive to things that already exist on the island of Hawaii, such as trees, wildlife, buildings. Anything in the path of this lava will be completely destroyed. Partly because it gets run over by the lava, but most importantly because it's so hot that it sets everything in its path on fire. It's completely unpredictable and uncontrollable. There's nothing you can do about its advance. So it can be very deadly to people that live in its path.
But amazingly, out of Kilauea's destruction comes creation.
What looks like a process of destruction to us as human beings is really the process of island building and growth.
And while the rich volcanic soil generates new plant life, the lava oozing into the Pacific continues to expand the island. And to think that all this earthly devastation and creation is the result of some pretty explosive mythology. Hawaiian native Terry Rivera knows the legend.
Pele is our goddess of our volcanoes and takes care of these fires of the volcanoes. And she had an older sister who took care of the oceans.
And every day, a powerful clash between the goddess of water and the goddess of fire can be seen, as Kilauea's lava flows into the ocean.
The high fountain eruptions of Kilauea were some of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. Fountains going up in the air 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, and even more. These booms are so loud, and the tremendous explosions going up in the air are just so spectacular, it just takes your breath away.
The lava released in a major eruption creates searing flows that stretch for miles.
Standing close to a river of lava is really unparalleled in any experience I've ever had. It's this feeling of being alive, of being close to the earth itself, of feeling the life energy of the planet.
Kilauea is a natural wonder because it's a place where you can see active eruption taking place, new land being formed, and you can hear, actually, you can hear the flows as they're coming up, and the surface cools, it crackles.
You can actually approach this volcano and watch its grandeur and its beauty without getting killed, and that's unusual.
For helping to build paradise, Kilauea, one of the world's most active volcanoes, blast onto our list at number 10. Coming in at number 9, these amazing wonders not only live for thousands of years, they are also considered to be the largest living organisms on the face of the earth.
Wow, what a huge organism.
Driving into California's Sequoia National Park is like stepping back in time. The rugged forest is crowded with large fir trees and tall lodgepole pines. But they all look like puny twigs compared to the giant sequoia. Bill Tweed is the chief geologist for the Sequoia National Park, and after 10 years, he is still floored by their beauty.
Here's a tree that's at least 2,000 years old. Sequoias fascinate people by their size, by their age. They simply exceed human dimensions.
Well, if it's true that size doesn't matter, then these giants still earn points for longevity. These trees can live up to 3,000 years. And the granddaddy of them all is General Sherman, a tree believed to be the largest single living organism on the planet.
The General Sherman tree would block 3 full 12-foot wide lanes. It's 36 feet in diameter at the base. You could lay it down, and the tallest sequoia trees are more than 100 yards long, more than the length of a full football field.
And all giant sequoias, like the good general himself, will just keep on growing and growing and growing.
So it has seen most of the history that we tend to think of in our culture. It dates back to maybe as far as the time of Christ, certainly to the late Roman Empire.
And as the Roman Empire fell, so too will the general, eventually. It seems sequoias just get so big that the roots can't support them anymore. And then, what grows up must come down. And when this tree falls in the forest, you can bet you'll hear it. The Northwest settlers who discovered the sequoias in the 19th century were stunned by what they saw.
They had 2 reactions. One was, wow, they're neat, and the other was, wow, maybe we can make some money.
For years, early settlers tried to cut these gentle giants down, but that proved to be a giant waste of time.
When you tried to saw the wood or to break it apart, you discovered the wood is actually pretty brittle.
Which made it virtually impossible to build with. Sequoias survive the loggers, but they still have to brave the elements. Not only are these trees big, they're also extremely finicky.
Sequoias have a very special formula to where they grow. Below 5,000 feet, it's simply too dry. They can live in snow, obviously, but they don't like below 0 Fahrenheit weather.
And sequoias also rely on another powerful element to ensure their survival: fire.
Giant sequoias are actually dependent on fire for their reproduction. The rising heat of a fire beneath a giant sequoia dries the cone and causes the scales to open, and the seeds are able to release.
In order to preserve these awesome wonders, the Sequoia National Park was established in 1890. By 1926, when the first roads were opened, crowds from around the world came pouring in.
They're awesome. It's just a sight that everyone should see sometime in their life. It's one of nature's and God's beautiful wonders.
For being the largest and most magnificent living organisms on the planet, the giant sequoia is rooted on our list at number 9. Coming in at number 8, it is the largest subtropical wilderness in the United States.
The mystery of how it works is something that we're just beginning to understand.
It's the only place in the world where alligators and crocodiles coexist, where fresh water and salt water mix to create an environment where mangrove trees and sawgrass flourish.
One of the main reasons for it being created was that it had such a diversity of life, and part of that diversity comes from the fact that we're on an overlap area where plants and animals from the temperate United States are found coexisting with plants and animals from the tropics, basically, in the Caribbean.
The Everglades is one of the largest natural preserves. More than 400 species of birds call the Everglades home, as well as countless other forms of plant and animal life. But there is a real danger facing this important ecosystem. Mike Chenoweth is president of Friends of the Everglades, an organization dedicated to preserving the glades.
Big problems in the Everglades has been that development in the form of agriculture has drained a lot of land. So now we're working to try to restore the natural system so that those processes that made the system flourish down here will be restored.
Friends of the Everglades was started by one of the Glades' best friends and champions, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was a force to be reckoned with wherever she went. She didn't have a loud voice. She carried her message with extreme dignity, but also with a very persuasive approach.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was fighting to save the Glades from extinction for more than half a century, right up until her death in 1998.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas said that the Everglades is unique. There are no other Everglades in the world.
Friends of the Everglades and its determined founder, Stoneman Douglas, have successfully battled the development of airstrips and additional canals that would divert the natural flow of rain through the wetlands and threaten the very existence of one of nature's great ecosystems.
It's very important for us to understand that the actions that we take in our normal lives as human beings can have a profound impact on the Everglades.
Stoneman Douglas's poetic ode to the Everglades coined the term River of Grass and helped to bring widespread attention to the park, which was dedicated as a national preserve in 1947.
A lot of times you hear the Everglades referred to as the River of Grass. At times, you can come out here and park your boat in the middle of the Everglades, stand up on the seat and look around and see nothing but grass for miles and miles.
Airboat Captain Red Wood knows how to get around the Everglades. He also knows a lot about one of its most famous inhabitants, the alligator.
Gators have a lot of different characteristics, such as their webbed feet. It helps them to swim at times. It helps them pull through this old soupy mud that we have out here.
Of course, it's not just the gator's special features that has Red waxing poetic.
Not too bad to eat at times is the tale.
But Red's not the only one enjoying the area's tasty treats. The Everglades is a vital part of Florida's lucrative fishing industry, and in fact remains one of the state's most important natural resources. But you don't have to live in Florida to appreciate its awesome beauty.
You can see such an abundance of life here. One of the great things about national parks is that here we are standing 10 feet away from something that literally could kill us if it wanted to.
This is better than Disneyland. Why would you want to leave paradise? I don't.
As human beings, we need to understand that our activities need to be in harmony with the environment rather than being in conflict with it.
For being one of the planet's most unique ecosystems, the Everglades makes our list at number 8. Coming up, the adrenaline capital of the world.
The most frightening thing I've ever done in my life.
3, 2, 1, bungee!
And America's very first national back, counting down the planet's ultimate 10 natural wonders. Coming in at number 7, the largest falling curtain of water in the world.
The beauty is outstanding. I mean, you cannot capture that kind of beauty in words. You've got to come and see it.
Deep in southern Africa, on the mighty Zambezi River, there's a falling wall of water so awesome you can see its mist from 20 miles away. It's called Victoria Falls, and thrill seekers from across the globe are jumping at the chance to experience its power firsthand. Victoria Falls is the adrenaline capital of the world. A massive chain of 6 different waterfalls located on the 1,600-mile stretch of the Zambezi River between the African nations of Zambia and Zimbabwe.
Victoria Falls has over 500 million cubic meters of water flowing over its edge during flood season.
To be exact, every minute, more than 130 million gallons of water plunge to the bottom of the gorge, over 320 feet down. Take that, Niagara Falls.
It's twice as high as Niagara, 7 times the amount of water falling over it than is held in the Colorado.
Local safari guide Sid Hayes can attest to the fall's incredible power.
I think the most amazing thing about the Victoria Falls themselves is the actual volume of water that comes over. It's just unbelievable.
This mystical wonder sat uninhabited by humans until the 12th century, when Chief Mukuni and his tribe settled here.
And because they didn't find anybody else, they thought and believed that only the gods must exist in these beautiful sites.
Over time, the gods called 73 other tribes to the area. But Victoria Falls remained a secret to the rest of the world until 1855, when Scottish missionary David Livingstone discovered the majestic falls quite by accident, and he claimed it for his queen, Victoria.
Livingstone wasn't here to find a set of falls. His main aim when coming to Africa was to get rid of slavery and to bring the Bible.
Today, the town surrounding the falls is still called Livingston. But even the good doctor could never have imagined the impact it continues to have on anyone who sees it.
This leaves people speechless. It's just in complete awe of the spectacle.
These powerful falls have certainly had an effect on thrill seekers, especially the free-fallers who jump off the gorge bridge. You see, water isn't the only thing plunging to the bottom of the gorge.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bungee!
110 meters of sheer.
Bungee!
That's better than 6.
I'm doing this to overcome my fear of heights. It's a hell of a way to overcome it.
Strap in and jump off, head first into a free fall of pure adrenaline.
2, 1,
It's fantastic. It's only a few seconds of free fall, and then you're like already feel like you're being saved. Because the ropes constrict on your backs of your legs, and you just hang, and then you can pose. You just fly.
The feeling of throwing yourself off a perfectly good bridge into the middle of an abyss with a river down below you is the most frightening, scary thing I've ever done in my life.
There are countless ways to experience the wonders of Victoria Falls. By hot air balloon, helicopter,
watch out for exhaustion, eh?
Even on the back of an elephant. But if you're the type that prefers to keep your feet on the ground, a hike through the falls should do you nicely. Just be sure to bring your rain gear. A constant mist soaks everything in sight. While the mist may make for a tough hike, plants and animals depend on the falls for their lives.
In the case of Victoria Falls, they sustain a rainforest-type environment, which is very unique to that area, and this is due to the constant moisturization of this area by the spray that's being thrown up from the falls as they plunge to the bottom of the gorge.
With such ecological diversity, incredible natural beauty, and so much to do, it's no wonder these falls are a wonder.
Even now, after seeing it how many times, it's still, you feel very, very small next to it. It's just unbelievable.
From being the largest curtain of falling water in the world and providing endless ways to enjoy it, Victoria Falls roars onto our list at number 7. At number 6, this natural wonder's unparalleled beauty inspired the U.S. government to create the world's first national park.
You just keep staring at the picture and you can never get enough of it.
For a young country coming of age in the early 1800s, the discovery of Yellowstone helped define America's identity with its vast, bold landscape. Today, Yellowstone's identity is closely associated with its powerful natural geysers, such as the ever-present Old Faithful.
I've seen Old Faithful erupt about 10,000 times, and I still turn and look every time. Old Faithful erupts about every 85, 87 minutes. It's 130, 140 feet tall. It's magnificent.
The incredible geysers and picture postcard landscape brought Yellowstone its fame, but today its wildlife population is just as popular. The most controversial of these is Yellowstone's wolf population. Until recently, the wolf was almost extinct. Doug Smith is Yellowstone's wolf preservation project leader. He's well acquainted with the wolves' plight.
The world has been obsessed with killing wolves. We have been killing wolves for centuries, probably for thousands of years.
Afraid of the threat wolves would pose to ranchers' livestock, government bounty hunters in the early 1900s killed Yellowstone's gray wolves for the price of $15 a head. They were hunted to near extinction.
People really didn't care much about animals back then. It was pretty much a war on wildlife.
It would be almost a century before an effort would begin to reverse this damage. In 1995, Yellowstone's wolf population was almost gone, so Doug went to Canada to capture 14 of the animals in an effort to revive Yellowstone's wolf population.
Catching a wolf is a tough thing to do. And there's nothing more exciting than flying over a wolf in a helicopter. You throw a net over them, they get tangled up, and then you go up and sedate them.
Once captured, the 14 transplanted canines were held in pens to break their homing instinct.
When you move a wolf from one location to another, they try and get back home. We held them for about 10 weeks inside the pens.
Saving the wolf population was a critical element in keeping Yellowstone's ecosystem intact. But not everyone has welcomed the wolves with open arms, particularly the ranchers worried about the safety of their livestock.
Wolves kill, and occasionally they kill livestock. What we need to work on is that the ranchers' needs are met.
Thankfully, livestock kills have been minimal, while wolf reintroductions have been a huge success. One of the transplanted wolves in particular has had a lot to do with the park's wolf repopulation. This wolf, a female known as number 9, is one of the park's top breeders. Amazingly, 70% of the wolves born in the park today have her genes.
Wolf 9 is by far the poster child of Yellowstone wolf recovery. Wolves are now the marquee animal in Yellowstone. Many people have told me it is a lifetime experience seeing a wolf in the wild in Yellowstone.
Yellowstone's preservation efforts have a long legacy. Congress passed the Yellowstone Park Act back in 1872. It was then that they set aside 2.2 million acres for the benefit and enjoyment of the people.
We can preserve it for those future generations, your grandchildren and mine. We have done something very, very special.
It was gorgeous. It really didn't look real. And you had the roar of the falls. and the rainbow in the distance. The cliffs, they look like they're painted.
And you can never get enough of it.
For inspiring the vision to preserve one of the world's most beautiful natural wonders, Yellowstone lands at number 6 on our list. Coming up, a living system so enormous it can be seen from space.
It really is mind-boggling just how much is going on out there. You see so much stuff that you've never seen before in your life.
Then, the largest tropical rainforest in the world.
When I came down to Brazil, first took a walk into the rainforest, it just blew my mind.
And find out what will reach number 1 on the Ultimate 10 Countdown of Natural. We are halfway to number 1 on our countdown of the Ultimate 10 Natural Wonders. Coming in at number 5, it's a natural wonder down under.
It's the only living creature that can be seen from space. It's just fantastic.
Just a 2-hour trek from Australia's Queensland coast lies the largest coral reef system in the world. Deceptively named, the Great Barrier Reef is actually a series of coral reefs.
In the very early days, they did think it was one continual reef running all the way down the Queensland coast. It's only been latterly that we've discovered that it's lots of individual reefs, around about 2,900 separate reef systems which make up the Great Barrier Reef.
Is a dive master for a popular Great Barrier Reef water adventure group.
Well, this is my office, basically. It's fantastic. I mean, what else could you ask for, really? Being underwater, you get a sense of freedom. If you've never dived before, to just be able to breathe underwater, it's all of a sudden you're free.
But for those claustrophobics who don't describe being 30 feet underwater as free, there's always a good snorkel.
When you're under the water in the Great Barrier Reef, it's like nothing else in the world. It's just gorgeous. The colors are fantastic. The fish almost seem as if they were coming up to you. You can't imagine it. It's beautiful.
While underwater, you'll get a feel for a mysterious world teeming with life.
We're talking about 400 species of corals at least, over 1,600 species of fish, 4,000 species of mollusks, and upwards of 10,000 different species of sponges, and those numbers are increasing every year.
I love seeing all this, the sea life under there. The coral's amazing.
Just exactly how does the reef come by all this coral?
I don't think a lot of people realise that actually corals are animals. Most people think they're plants. They look like plants, they sit and sway in the currents, but in fact they're animals.
In other words, much of the Great Barrier Reef is an actual living creature.
Coral is basically a jellyfish which has stopped wandering the oceans, has this ability to pull calcium carbonate out of the surrounding water, lays down a limestone cup, hence forming these large reef systems. When you look at a coral colony, you're really looking at a very thin veneer of living coral over centuries and centuries of dead coral skeleton.
The Australian government is making sure that this fragile ecosystem is protected so that we can enjoy it for years to come.
All right, guys, if you'd like to stand up now, everyone try and stand up. Okay? Drop and give me 20 press-ups and then follow me down.
At the end of the day, it's all about education for us. If we can change some people's attitudes towards reef systems, can explain to people that they are colonies of living creatures and need their respect and understanding, then the day's been a big success.
For being the largest reef system in the world, the Great Barrier Reef hits our list at number 5. Coming in at number 4, a forest of Amazon proportions.
When you finally come into there, you realize just how huge it is, and it's just mind-blowing.
The world's rainforests cover less than 10% of the Earth's surface, but contain over 40% of all plant and animal species. The biggest rainforest is in South America. It's called the Amazon. Dr. Russell Mittermeier is the president of Conservation International, an organization dedicated to studying and preserving the rainforest.
It is by far the largest remaining rainforest area left on our planet. It's about 6 to 7 million square kilometers. It's about 2/3 the size of the United States, including Alaska. It's enormous.
60% of it is in Brazil, but the rainforest also extends into Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, French Guiana, and Suriname. And amazingly, each year, the Amazon provides 20% of the world's fresh water.
Over half of the estimated 10 million species of plants, animals, and insects that are known on the Earth reside in rainforests.
You have at least 60 to 70,000 plant species. You have at least 3,000 and perhaps as many as 9,000 species of freshwater fish, and more monkeys than you find anywhere else on Earth.
In Brazil alone, 9 new species of monkeys have been identified over the last year. But many of those species, known and unknown, are destroyed every day. Constant logging, mining, and cattle ranching is stripping the jungles clean. And sadly, what was lost can never be replaced.
We've already lost well over 50% of the rainforest that existed at the turn of the last century. And if current trends continue, we stand to lose a very large percentage of the life forms that share the planet with us.
But scientists like Dr. Mittermeier and Conservation International are trying to make a difference.
Well, the most important thing that our organization does is working with local people, with local indigenous communities, to demonstrate that conservation can provide benefits to local people, to local communities.
This in turn helps government officials to become aware of the amazing aspects of the Amazon, including the discovery of some of the most incredible creatures known to man.
You may see a monkey or a beetle or a bird that no one else has ever seen before.
Truly an area of unparalleled diversity under siege. There's no place on Earth like the Amazon.
It's really one of the great phenomena that still exist in the 21st century.
For being the world's largest rainforest, the Amazon treks onto our list at number 4. Coming up, the greatest gorge on the face of the Earth.
You gotta see it to experience it.
And later, the highest mountain peak in the world.
In many ways, there's no good reason to go there except for our own ambitions.
And stick around to find out our number 1 ultimate natural wonder.
This TLC program is sponsored in part by Volvo. Volvo for life.
And into the final stretches of our Ultimate 10 countdown. Now at number 3, a natural wonder so vast you could drop the state of Rhode Island inside it and still have room to spare.
The canyon's absolutely majestic. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
One of the remarkable things about the Grand Canyon landscape is that it is so abrupt. You're traveling across flat plateau lands, and then all of a sudden the canyon just opens up before you.
More than 5 million people visit the Grand Canyon every year.
Most people enjoy the canyon from the rim, either at an overlook or taking a short walk.
I got tears in my eyes like the first time I saw the canyon.
The Grand Canyon stretches a staggering 277 miles end to end, averages 10 miles across, and reaches a depth of 1 mile.
The tops of the tallest buildings in Manhattan wouldn't poke above the inner gorge.
But it's not just the canyon's size that makes it a natural wonder.
It's the combination of size, color, form, and texture, all those things together that make it such a remarkable landscape.
Everyone who sees the canyon is blown away by its beauty.
The Grand Canyon is the result of river erosion. And it took about 5 to 6 million years of water flowing over the surface of the Earth to carve out the immense canyon that we see as the Grand Canyon.
All that flowing water has also created the canyon's white-knuckle rapids. Rafting guide Brian Hansen has navigated the canyon's waters for more than 20 years.
Some of the rapids that we go through are very large, and they would obviously watch you off the boat.
Of course, the raging rapids are just one way to see the canyon.
I think there's no better way to enter or exit the Grand Canyon than in a helicopter. You're flying about 120 miles, 10 feet off the ground. You can just look out there and feel like you can almost touch it.
I haven't swallowed my stomach yet.
It just was incredible. I felt like I was in the movies.
No matter how you see it, the Grand Canyon is a visual feast. A stunning mosaic of canyons inside canyons. A place where mineral deposits paint canyon walls with all the colors of the sunset.
There's no place that really grabs me like the Grand Canyon. It is truly one of the great natural wonders.
For showing us a magnificent view of the Earth's surface, the Grand Canyon carves itself onto our list at number 3. Natural wonder number 2 is the absolute highest point on the face of the planet.
Even to just see it is something amazing in itself.
Locals call it Chomolungma, goddess mother of the world.
Because it is the absolute highest point on the surface of the Earth.
Eric Simonson is an Everest tour guide who for the last 20 years has organized expeditions for those brave souls willing to tackle the gigantic mountain.
As a young man, I was driven by the desire to accomplish my dreams, to climb these high mountains, and that has evolved into the whole business of organizing expeditions, which is now my career.
In fact, climbers from all over the world come to tackle the Himalayan mountain range. Bordering the Asian and Indian continents, they contain 14 of the Earth's highest peaks. Of course, the undisputed king of the mountains is Everest, rising 29,028 feet, more than 5 miles above sea level.
When I look at the Himalayas, I feel a sense of incredible awe of the mountains themselves because they're so huge.
And just how did this behemoth get so big?
Mount Everest was formed by the collision of the Indian continent and Eurasia. And as these two continents collided, there was a lot of pressure built up between the two plates. And the easiest way for it to relieve that pressure was to start thrusting rock towards the sky. And this has been happening for 55 million years.
Eric Simonson has scaled the mountain 7 times successfully, but others have not been so lucky.
There have been somewhere around 150 or 60 deaths on the mountain.
And some who've survived the climb may have come back with their lives, but they paid a dear price, losing limbs to the ravages of frostbite.
These mountains, they are utterly the worst place in the world for humans to go. If it doesn't kill you, it could leave you disabled for life.
Yet over the years, more than 1,000 climbers have been drawn in by the challenge of tackling the worst place on Earth.
I think that most climbers that go to Mount Everest go there not to do battle with nature. I think they go to do battle with their own capability and to see what those limits are.
And the mountain will definitely test those limits. Weather can turn stormy in a flash, and oxygen levels at that height are half the normal amount at sea level. With these harsh conditions, Eric Simonson's expeditions would not have been possible without the help of locals known as Sherpas.
This is their home, so for us, we're going halfway around the world. For them, they're just walking up the valley for a day.
The Sherpas handle most of the details, like stocking the camps with food and oxygen. Unlike Western climbers, Sherpas are accustomed to the lack of oxygen at high altitudes.
Obviously, most Western climbers wouldn't be able to reach the summits of these peaks without the help of the Sherpas.
Even the most seasoned climbers know the danger they must face.
When I've been high on Everest, I've always felt very uneasy, just a profound sense of anxiety. You're aware of the risk surrounding you, and you're aware of the fact that you'll die in that environment if you can't get back down.
All these risks are taken with one goal in mind, the exhilaration of standing on top of the world.
God, what a place to be. I feel that great.
Being on top physically feels great, but only for a few minutes, because what little exhilaration is associated with the experience quickly fades to reality, and you realize you better be putting it in gear in the opposite direction.
But once you've made it down and lived to tell about it, the power of the climb overwhelms you.
I was number 366, but who's counting?
For being the highest point on the planet and one of the toughest human challenges, Mount Everest scales our list at number 2. When we come back, our pick for the number 1 ultimate natural wonder, a wonder which is out of this world. We're back, counting down the ultimate 10 natural wonders. We're down to number 1. A wonder that lights up the night sky in both the far northern and southern hemispheres at the same time.
Imagine the night sky suddenly filled with tall, long rays of light that fill the sky. It's an incredible sight.
Alaska is known for its dark, cold winters and long daylight summers. People venture here for its beautiful scenery, majestic vistas, and to witness its spectacular light show virtually every night of the year.
Observing the northern lights is looking into God's eye, the way I look at it.
In the south, they call it Aurora Australis. In the north, Aurora Borealis, or Northern Lights. Jan Curtis is a scientist and photographer who's not only looked into God's eye, but taken his picture.
Photographing the northern lights in Alaska is a unique challenge because in the wintertime, when the lights are most prevalent, it's extremely cold. Temperatures can get 40 and 50 below zero. The camera can't be left outside more than just a couple of minutes because it will freeze up.
Jan braves the cold in order to capture images like these. Because film is not as sensitive as the human eye, special time-lapse techniques are used.
Some people, when they see my work, they just can't believe that it's real.
Witnessing the Northern Lights is spectacular. It's awe-inspiring because you can't really explain what they are and why they're there.
In ancient times, mythological gods were credited with this creation. But these mysterious lights get their powerful glow from the same awesome force that gives our planet life.
The sun is the source of energy for everything on planet Earth, all life, all weather, all activity that we know.
Explosions and solar storms on the surface of the sun send charged particles known as solar winds hurtling towards Earth. When they reach the Earth's magnetic field, the energy is transferred into visual light around the Earth's polar regions.
Realize the Earth has magnetic field lines that loop out into space from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere, arching away from the Earth, and it is those magnetic field lines that organize the solar storm and cause it to create auroras.
In the far north and far south, the Earth's magnetic charges are strongest. While scientists know the cause of the aurora, exactly how it affects Earth is still in question. Though infrared cameras have captured solar storms like this one, the aurora remains a mystery.
There are so few things in nature that's so unique, that's so mystical, that sets it apart from almost anything that anybody can ever experience.
For creating the planet's most astounding light show, absolutely free, the aurora makes our list at number 1. From the spitting lava of Kilauea to the raging rapids of the Colorado, the natural wonders of the world are dynamic proof of this spectacular planet we call Earth. But ultimately, it's our curiosity of their existence that's the most wondrous thing of all.
I actually think the most natural wonder of all is the fact that there is life at all. If there was no intelligent life on Earth, nothing could be considered a wonder because there would be nobody to appreciate it.
And that is our honor to bear witness to the planet's finest legacy, the ultimate 10 natural wonders.
Next up on TLC.
All of a sudden, it was like a hurricane. It was on fire.
There was no way out.
It's just a repulsive thought.
The ultimate 10 natural disasters. Next.